Okay. I think we're good to get started. Can you guys all hear me? Okay, thank you. All right, so this is the Ignite Hardware Training Session 3. A little bit about myself. I'm one of the organizers of Ignite. I'm the design lead on the Clueless 112 and 2, and I'm from San Diego, California. I've been in First Robotics for 9 years and 4 years in First Tech Challenge. Here's me at the World Championship. Our team, if you didn't know, we were alliance partners with TextPand from South Africa. So that's kind of how this started. Okay, moving on. Table of contents. So what we're planning on covering today is first off, some rules to consider when building, and then second of all, some other materials that are more unconventional that we can use. And then lastly, we'll do some Q&A and cover the assignment. So if you have any questions along the way, feel free to just send it in chat. And then when we get to Q&A, I'll just go through and answer all of them. Is that good with everyone? Okay, cool. All right, so starting off, some rules to consider when building. So number one is size. In FTC, we have a size limit of 18 by 18 by 18 inches, which is 45.7 centimeters. So as you can see in this picture in the bottom left corner, here's an example of a robot, and the dimensions of the robot can't exceed this 18 by 18 by 18 dimension in its starting configuration, which means if the robot has, let's say, some sort of arm that can pivot or like extend past this 18 inches, that's okay as long as it's able to start within this 18 inches by 18 inches size limit. So this is important when designing because you have to make sure that whatever you build can fit into this cube. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to use it in competition. Okay. Another consideration that we have is this expansion limit, which is a new rule for this season. And basically, it says that your robot can't have something that extends past this 42 inches by 20 inches overall footprint. So you can see in these diagrams that there's this yellow box here. That outer yellow box is the maximum limit for how far you can extend. So, say you have like an arm that flips over, that's okay as long as that arm, along with the robot, doesn't go past that line. And once it does, once any part of the robot goes out of that, then it's deemed illegal and you can't have that mechanism. Uh, the rules on this are not extremely clear, but I think the diagram covers it pretty well. If you have, let's say, two arms, one in different directions, even if one of them is retracted while one is extended during the actual match, if both can physically be extended in both directions, then that's not allowed. So you can see that in example E here. Okay, moving on. Another rule that we have to consider is the power switch. So in order to power your robot, you have a battery, but we also need to have this power switch that looks like this in the bottom right image, which basically turns on and off the power to the robot. So we need to have one of these approved switches, and in the rulebook, it gives us these three switches that we're allowed to use. And in addition to that, we also have to have this power button sticker that we have to put near the power switch. And that's just so that if anything happens during the match where they need to turn off a robot, the so any ref or anyone else that's not familiar with your robot knows where it is. Okay. Another consideration that we have are these robot signs. So robot signs are another thing that's new this year and going forward. So what this means is that we have to have our team number displayed somewhere on the robot following several guidelines. And so if you're not familiar, every team has a team number that they're assigned. So for example, my team, our team number is 11212. So we need to have this team sign that has the numbers 1, 1, 2, and 2, following the requirements of 6.35 centimeters of background, and then 2 inches tall or 5 centimeters tall for the numbers. Um, and then in addition to that, the background color is going to be either blue or red. So again, in FTC matches, you have the red alliance and you have the blue alliance, and your alliance color changes between matches. And so you need to have both a blue version of the team sign and a red version of the robot sign that you can switch out interchangeably depending on what alliance you're on. And then this is important so that both your opponents, your alliance, and the refs can know what team you are and what alliance you are, which makes it a lot easier for them to score points and not misscore anything. Okay, now we're going to move on to some other more unconventional materials. So starting off on the left, these are some constrained build materials with limited usage that have their like uh, niche use cases. So we went over brackets in the last training session, but these are some more brackets that you can use. So for example, we have this angled bracket here, as well as this one with the curved slot. And then these ones here have some holes in them that have more unconventional shapes in them. So like there's a rectangle hole here. Um, this one looks like it can fit a servo motor in it. And yeah, so beyond the normal brackets that we have, there are a lot of other of these unconventional materials with more limited uses that can also be very useful in certain situations. Okay, in addition, there's some unconstrained build materials with some more flexible uses. So, for example, cardboard is a good one because it's pretty accessible and it's easy to cut up, modify, and test with, as well as like plastic. So, if you have, let's say, a plastic bin, you can take that and maybe modify, cut some of the material, and then use that in your robot. Here's some examples. So on the left, you can see there's this plastic cutout, some blue plastic. I don't know what it's from exactly, but you can see that this team decided to cut out a piece of that plastic to use on the underside of their robot. And then you can also see they have those unconventional brackets that are mounting these servo motors and as well as these 3D printed hooks here. But I think the main point here is this plastic cutout, similar to the picture on the previous slide. And then here, this is some sort of plastic, um, some like material. It looks similar to cardboard, and this team cut out a shape of that material. You can see that there's an indent here, and they can use that to align the game element or whatever it is they want to do with that cutout here. And then they just zip tie or tape it to the rest of their robot. Okay, let's move on. So some other materials. So maybe cardboard is too bendy for you. So wood and perspex are also great options. So something like plywood that you can get from like a hardware store, as well as perspex, also known as acrylic. this is basically a plastic glass, so it's see-through, but it's pretty stiff and durable. So both plywoods and perspex are commonly used in first tech challenge robotics. So what can this be used for? So on the left, here's an image of a robot using a perspex side plate. So you can see they have this acrylic outer plate. And then on the right here, here's a wooden side plate. They have this wooden plate here that supports their robot. They also have this wooden bracket over here that's supporting one of their robot mechanisms. They have a wooden frame and this wooden motor mount, as well as a wooden team sign here. Um, but one thing to note, this wooden team sign was before they changed the ruling on that. So again, now you have to have a blue or a red background. All right, so that's it for this training session. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to send them in chat and I'll start answering anything that was already there. Okay, it doesn't look like there's any questions so far. Um, but if you guys have any further questions, you can always email us at info@igniteroboticsinternational.org or send any questions in the Ignite Robotics Discord, and we'd be happy to help. Okay, so last thing is the assignment. So again, as usual, we'll have a Google form with a couple questions for you guys to answer, and this will be sent out in the main Discord, the Ignite Robotics Discord, in the announcements channel. So once you've either watched the live stream or if you're watching it right now, you can head over there, fill out the form, and yeah, that'll just let us know that you completed this training session. All right, so thank you everyone for joining, and thanks for anyone who's watching the live stream in the future. Yeah, that concludes it for this training session. Thank you, everyone.